Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Constellation Gaming, and this is Decklist December, where I'll go through every single day in December and put out a deck list, or show a deck list possibly online, whether it's something fun or more geared towards the competitive end. But without further ado, let's get into the list. This is what I'm calling Solar Beatdown, kinda Solar Fives, very similar, but there's a little bit of diversity. There's enough to where I felt like I could name it something different rather than just Solar Fives, because it's not really just a bunch of fives guys. Uh, so first, Elichick. This does follow the new bans and semi-bans. So the Zeuses, the Elichicks, all of that are properly uh, formed here, or properly numbered here. So that way you don't have to worry about anything in the future, and you could run this to a tournament if you'd like. Uh, so next we have Jolton, just two of to search out the stadium, because Jolton gets kind of cloggy if you have multiple, unless you're playing Thunder. I kind of only really ever play two Jolton. Jolton is, like I said, just you don't really need three stadium uh, cards. Kind of never, unless you're playing like a heavy Nexus bank or a heavy Nexus deck, or you have it in your side deck because you're just having a stadium war. But most of the time, you don't really have a reason to play three. I'm pretty sure even in my water reanimator list that I have on the channel, uh, it was posted a few days ago if you want to check that out. But I'm pretty sure I only have two in that list also, and that list heavily relies on the Atlantas, whereas this is just for the stat boost and to beat. So next we have Aromare. It's an interesting pick, but Aromare, if you look at its stat line, it is insanely busted. Just insanely busted. Like a 4-5, most of the time the plan is to just misenchant this and just run it out. It's more than not going to be misenchanted. Don't really care too much about its ability, to be honest. More or less just a vanilla 5, but we do have a single spirit in here too if we want to properly enchant it. So it can get its ability, which Aramir is not very well played or very much played, so I'll read off the ability. It says, when you ascend this Aramir, you can cast it from your underworld as an artifact rune, empowering the ascension with the effect this empowered Celestial cannot be targeted or destroyed by an opponent's Celestial's effect. So pretty much first thing, can't be boom batted. If you just see somebody's on boom bat, you could always just hard ascend somebody over top of properly enchanted Aromare to make sure they can't boom bat it. But like I said, for the most part, just going to be a misenchanted beater at if you have your stadium, it's a 5-6, which is nuts. Without your stadium, it's a 4-5, and if they have a 5 body, you can literally just set it in defense and they can't really do anything about it. If they want to eddy it, they have to crash. If you have PTA, they can't even eddy it. So it's extremely strong, especially with Eddy being one of the most prevalent cards in the game right now. Aramir kind of counters Eddy, weirdly enough, just with its base stats. Next, Cathmel at a 2 of. A lot of these, most of the time I play decks at 3 ofs, but this deck has a lot of 2 ofs just for utility purposes, and also spirit math wise, some of the numbers are a little weird. Um, so yeah, Cathmel says when you ascend this Cathmel or it's destroyed, you can return 3 of any combination of lunar or solar spirits from your underworld to your deck. So pretty much, we don't really play any lunar. Yeah, there's literally 0 lunar in this deck. So that's not really what that's there for. It's just 3 solar. It's pretty much ambrosia on a body when it dies, or you ascend from it, which it is relevant to be honest, because you could just straight up end of the game you're very low on spirits, uh, you can just ascend over this guy to heal yourself 3. And that can be very impactful. And unless they're hitting it with a Gorgon's Gaze, you're getting a free Ambrosia, which is nuts in itself. Next, 2 Eddie. Only running 2 because there's only really space for 2 in this deck. I would like to have the third, but there's not the room for it. I'll be honest, it is in the sideboard just in case I feel like there's any matchup where I particularly need to change stats a lot. Uh, Nothing comes to mind right off the bat, but having the third Eddie is always very good, and the ability to side into it is just very good too. So I played it. I'm playing 2 of them, and I got the third in the sideboard. Uh, Next card is 2 Cypermel. This is actually a card that's kind of increased in popularity in the scrap list. We don't really care too much about the whole Nexus solar scrap stuff. We really just care that it's a 4 body and it can also equip Golden Fleece from the deck. Not only that, with this card, we essentially get a free mulligan because as long as we see this card, we get to cast Golden Fleece with the spirits in our underworld. So essentially, it's a free mulligan because you just play the Cypermel on 1, find your Golden Fleece, take the 2 spirits that you use to mulligan, and you've got a 4/3 semi-indestructible body until they destroy the Golden Fleece. That is just a beater. And then we're playing the stadium with the Jolton, so it's a possible 5/4 body that just comes out and semi-indestructible, which is pretty good. Next, because it's literally just because it's the biggest stat line that Solar has. Playing Lumeru, we don't care too much about the second ability. However, playing against Scrap, the second ability, or the ability, not second ability, uh, could be useful if you happen to mill one of their few Argo targets or something like that, or just any deck that runs Argo essentially. If Lumero gets a mill off, they could possibly hit that. I mean, honestly, Lumer is actually pretty good against any artifact decks now that I think about it, because you can hit either piece of it. If you hit an Argo or if you hit the artifact, it's not nearly as impactful. They need to have both pieces in order for it to be a very functional type of deck. So then, got 3 Rabbit. 3 Rabbit, I've said it in every video. Rabbit is simply the best card in the game. There's no reason to really get into it. Just look at the top 3, add whatever you want, shuffle, really good. Especially in this deck, uh, because you are playing one single Apollo, which you can do, and what I've actually already done just in a few rounds of testing is Apollo search. I've literally came up, okay, I got a rabbit, so I'll put the rabbit on top. I know I'm gonna draw that next turn. Rabbit, use rabbit effect. Then I'll shuffle my deck. Then I get, because I shuffle with rabbit, I get a completely new search with the Apollo rather than having to be stuck with the 3 cards on top, which were not very good at the moment. So rabbit in combination with Apollo is actually extremely strong. Next is 2 copies of Viscerus, because you can run only 2 copies of Viscerus, and if you can run 2, you might as well run 2. You really only need to properly enchant one of them, because if you just make the other one misenchanted with Solar, it's still the same stat line essentially. Well, actually, he would have 1 less attack and 1 more defense, but that actually could be beneficial in surviving an attack. So there's the possibility that you don't need to. Probably, now that I think about it though, just having that 1 extra attack point, probably going to more or less properly enchant this. But that's kind of just dependent on how the game is going. And that will do it for all of the Illustrals in this deck. Not too many. I'm pretty sure it's 19 if I did the math right. 2, 5, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. Yep, 19 Illustrals. Now we're on to our rune package. Because this is solar beatdown and the whole point of this is just playing guys that are solar and attacking. I got 2 Temple of the Sun. Again, with the 2 Jolton, you essentially have 4 copies of Temple, and you don't need any more than that. Kind of like with the Jolton, as I stated earlier, it can just start to clog up your hand and not really be as impactful as you'd want. So next, got Apollo. Apollo is uh, pretty good in this deck. You don't want it a lot. You don't want to sit there run 2, 3 of it. But it is a decent find when it does come up due to the fact that you're just using it to look for more guys. You don't really care about everything else. And Fortel is pretty good in itself, being able to order your next 3 draws. Like you might need an Ambrosia that same turn or the next turn, or you lose the game, and by using Apollo, you could possibly just bring that Ambrosia from the 3rd card in your deck to the top card of your deck. So it can be literally game swinging card with just the Fortel, but mostly it's mostly just for finding but more guys though, if we're being honest. Next is the Golden Fleece. Pretty good with any of the Illustrals here, but Cybermaul is the main one we're going to be playing it with simply due to the fact that it brings it out from the deck. So the goal is to have Golden Fleece in deck and then play Cybermaul, bring Golden Fleece out. If you have to play it straight out, it's still a good card. Still protects you guys from being destroyed, especially in a very heavy. Uh, we're kind of swinging back more towards a removal heavy meta since the ban, at least what I believe will happen. So, got the one of Earthquake, one of Laurels. Yeah, just not much to say for it. Just really good cards that are kind of played in every single deck for a reason. Then you got 3 Ambrosia. Said it before, and just going to reiterate the fact that healing is stronger in this game than in most games. Oops, sorry about the glare there. Uh, Healing is stronger in this game than most games due to the fact that in order to play anything, it takes your life. So healing your life keeps you in the game and allows you to make more actions in the game. So that's why it's beneficial to be able to heal, and why the heal stall deck in this game is a lot more impactful than in other games. So next, 3 Gorgon's Gaze. Gorgon's Gaze is just the best counter rune in the game, says no to everything, can't go wrong with Gorgon's Gaze. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's just short, sweet. 3 PTA, just we need more removal, kind of make sure we're always keeping tempo with everything, because some of the Nexus heavy decks, once they start to get multiple guys on board, it can be a struggle to keep up with this type of deck. So you want to make sure that you have removal at all times. 2 Tsunami, only 2 because water is pretty relevant right now. So you don't want to have 3 Tsunami which are dead, so I'm just running 2, and yeah, just running 2. Even if people aren't running water, they're going to be running the Galaxies and the Eddies in their package, especially since the ban list happened. And next we've got a little small removal package of Cryoblast plus Zeus. This deck was kind of thought of. It was mainly brought to light by Trishula. I did play this in a tournament, like a set 2 tournament with a stat change deck. I'll bring that more to the channel when 3 of Zeus is legal again, because the deck did revolve around Zeus. But I didn't really have the concept of the fact that Cryoblast plus Zeus Pretty much just kills everything in the game right now that's played. No, nothing has more than 5 defense, except for a misenchanted arrow mare under Temple of the Sun. Fun fact. Uh, so misenchanted arrow mare actually lives this combination, which, considering everybody's about to be running it, is a very strong reason to be just running the arrow mare as opposed to another Elestral. But yeah, that's the entire main deck. Now we'll move on to side deck. Side deck got some spice here. It's kind of like a few different artifact packages that you can tech into. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could tech into this whole package. Like, for once, I have made a side deck that you can just actively side in the entire thing in a game, and it works as a smokescreen. It's pretty good. So to start off, we're gonna start off with the spice. Got 2 Rhinosec, 2 Rhinymph. Uh, the reason why this Rhinymph's actually good for multiple things other than just the Rhinosect, but particularly most of the time people like to use the expend effect of Rhinymph, put it in the back row, special cast Rhinosect, which is really good. However, you have to find your Rhinosect, and you're only running 2 Rhinosect. What I like about this deck is the fact that Rhinymph can not only pair with the Rhinosect in order to special cast and destroy something, it can also pair with Heliolith, because Heliolith says you can normal cast it with 2 solar if an artifact is enchanted. So he becomes an artifact. He becomes an artifact room. So he technically works with not only Rhinosect here, but he works with the Heliolith. So you could either bounce a big guy back to hand if you have the Heliolith and Rhinev combo, and they don't have Gorgon's Gaze, because they have to have Gorgon's Gaze to stop this combo. Like, this 6-card combo is actually really strong because they have to have Gorgon's Gaze in order to stop it, and they have to use it on the Rhinev. What inhibited it before, in my opinion, is you had to have the Rhinosect, so it just read, oh, they're playing Rhinosect. But playing Heliolith gives you another reason to play the Rhinev. So, next is 2 Argo. Running 2 Argo, just because Argo is a really good jump scare. It's not good in the main board. It's really good as a jump scare. Actually got me, Beam Soldier got me with Argo, and it was Swiss, but it was what prevented me from actually making top cut. He's why I ended up bubbling out and went going 5-2. Honestly, it was pretty much due to this Argo. Uh, I had Demetered a Galaxy in order to play around Gorgon's Gaze stat swap, and I played around pretty much nothing because he just Argoed and then Necklace of Harmonia'd me. And then a lot more spice. Here's some more spice to go with the Argo. Because we're playing Zeus and Thunder Spirits, we've got the 1 Thunderbolt of Zeus. Possibly they can swing on you and just kill themselves at the end of the game. Because Argo enchant Thunderbolt of Zeus onto something. If you have Zeus, they have to expend 2. If you don't, they burn for 1. Either one is good. Same concept here. Poison Tunic gets -2 attack when Empowered Celestial is destroyed in battle. Its controller must expend 2. So it's kind of same concept here. They can swing into you, you negate their attack by a little bit, and then kill them. This is supposed to be a Necklace of Harmonia. I could not find it. I don't know where it went. I had multiple copies of them, and they're just gone. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pick some of those up on TCG Player for this deck. I do apologize, but I had to use a little proxy face down card due to the fact that I could not find that one. Uh, then we've got one Eddie, just because Eddie's Eddie. Eddie is good. Plays around Tsunami, plays around everything except for Gorgons. And a lot of matchups you might need it. One Boombat. Uh, there's actually a lot of cool plays you can do with Boombat. You can ascend it over any of your Thunder Illustrals that you've already cast for their like casting effect in order to keep it alive, then make the Boombat go boom, kill something, and keep it alive, and possibly threaten to do that next turn, which is extremely strong. And you could also ascend Boombat over Arrowmare in order to put Arrowmare in the rune row to activate your Rhino Sect, kill something with Rhino Sect, kill something with Boombat. But last thing we got in the side deck is two Frost Spirits. I know Trishula, he'll yell at you for siding any spirits unless you absolutely have to. Pretty much, this is an absolutely have to due to the fact that we don't have normal spirit room for it unless we are siding in this package. We have no reason to have the Frost in the main deck unless we have this package. And with Rhinymph Rhino Sect, you need to have uh, four Frost Spirits. You'll see here we're running two main deck for the Cryoblast, and but you need to have four so you can go Rhinymph Effect, and then cast Rhino Sect. So this package costs four as a whole. So you need to have at least four, and that's why we side that. Finally, it's the spirit count. Gonna move on to that. Got four Thunder, two Earth, two Frost, uh, two Leviathan, or two Water, one Wind, because the Arrowmare enchant, and then nine, I believe nine, yeah, 3, 6, 9,